Hello, people, and welcome to the NC Network here over No Chuffdes with our European podcast. Now, of the 2024-25 season, this is actually episode 14, but this is the first time that we're doing a visual pod. As usual, I am here with my bro, yeah, with Coach Kojo in the house to do it. But I said, yeah, this is the episode 14 of the 24-25 season. If you have been subscribed to the audio outlets, so the NC Network on Spotify or wherever, you would have been hearing this podcast for the majority of the last 5 years. But this is the first time we've ever done a visual one for the YouTube. So we'll see how this goes. That may be the thing for all the remaining pods, or it might be a case where one or two might just be the audio. It depends in terms of how things run visually. You get what I'm saying? Like the boy, there might be stuff going on in my house. The boy coaches a father as well, of course. So we'll see how it goes. But this week you get to see our lovely faces. Yeah, pause. You get what I'm saying? So double D, as usual, peeps. I am here.
Yeah, Coach Kojo, I'm here. I like the way you got me into the video, though. That was like a Joe Hendry type saying his name. Kojo, bang. You know what I mean?
Say his name and he appears.
Yeah, it's like that. You know what I mean? But yeah, man, I'm good, man. What you saying?
I'm all right. Well, yeah. Well, in terms of like minor Premier League talk, because we are here to do the other European leagues, champions in it, so can't complain. Don't mind this in the background. This is for other pods, so like you can see, like you get me. You can champione flag and that. You get what I'm saying? But yeah, Pete. So we're gonna cover the Copa Del Rey final. We've got Serie A talk in terms of who's going to win the title there. Maybe a bit of Bundesliga, and then we'll wrap things up with a little brief talk on the Champions League semi-final first legs and give our predictions for the second leg. So, Coach, yeah, let's start with Saturday and the Copa del Rey final, El Clasico. It finished Barcelona 3, Real Madrid 2. Though Madrid have been annoying. Well, we actually finally got a win over them for the first time in 15 years this season. But otherwise, my Premier League team have been on their plantation. So they've been annoying me. But, obviously they're still my European team. So this game annoyed me. But another fabulous game between these lot. Barca just seem to own these guys at the moment, bro. Like they've got the 3-2 win here. They beat them 5-2 in the Super Copa back in January. And in the league game, which was just before my birthday, actually, they beat, was it 4-0? Did that finish at the Bernabeu?
I think so, yeah.
I'm sure it was 4-0. So they're just owning them at the moment. This is even without Lewandowski. But yeah, 3-2 off extra time. Barca took the lead. Brilliant goal from Pedri. After Lamine Yamal, some good wing play, cut the ball back. Pedri, wicked finish, just passed it in, angled it into the top corner. Madrid levelled in the second half. There were lots of chances in between, but Madrid replied in the second half with a free kick. Mbappe in off the post 1-1. Then they went ahead, poor marking by Barca from a set piece, and Chouameni made it 2-1 with a header. Then it was Ferran Torres, wasn't it, that got the equaliser. There was an offside goal. Then Ferran Torres got the equaliser for 2-2 from close range, complete collapsing defence by Madrid. And he went round Courtois, didn't he? I think Rudiger was the man that was closest in there, complete mix-up at the back, and he made it 2-2. Asensio thought he conceded a penalty late on, but then that was overruled. And then in extra time, a brilliant finish by Jules Kounde. Though he has some questionable wardrobe. that was that was a really good finish by him, considering obviously he's a defender, passed it outside the box into the bottom corner for Barca to win 3-2. But in terms, does this do anything? Like, obviously, give your thoughts on the final. But in addition to that, I want to ask you: does this do anything in regards to the where the title is going to end up for you?
Yeah, so regarding the final first, anyway, it's kind of final that you want. Fiery, fair, full of goals, full of drama, especially with these two teams. A game that I thought had lost a bit of fire, but it looks like it's got its fire back this year. Obviously, my highlight was Rudiger to do losing his mind on the bench. What I mean, I understand his frustration. I think that foul that was given against Mbappe was a bit of nonsense, but it is what it is. But yeah, that's the kind of game I was looking for from those two in the final. Very dramatic, cagey affair. 3-2, good goals. All goals were really good goals as well. Good quality on show. But it seems like Barcelona just have a mental edge over Real Madrid, and it could coincide with Real Madrid will give you many reasons. They've suffered a lot of injuries this year. It is true, especially at the back. They've been a bit unlucky with that. But end of the day, Barcelona stick to their brand of football, high line, very high pressing, and they cause trouble for you because they're trying to make sure you don't get out your own half, and they've got players like Yamal and Rafinha who can give you the world of damage. So, yeah, they deserve to win. So the title race, yeah, I would argue that if you're Barcelona, there's no way you can't use this as the big push to get you forward and over the line. Like, you've got a chance of making a big load of history here. Because many people are not talking about it. We're talking about it within the Barcelona fan base, but maybe not outside of it. Supercopa, Copa del Rey collected now. If they get past Inter in the second leg of the Champions League, get to that final, and win this league, all you have left is to win a Champions League. You make history. You know what I mean? Like, there's so much positivity that you can grab for this that you can only use as motivation. I don't know how you don't use it as motivation. If you can't use it as motivation, then you're in the wrong business. Simple as that. So for me personally, yeah, you got to go and grab it with both hands. And I would also say for someone like Yamal, for someone like Rafinha, for these guys who are now being put in there with Ballon d'Or shouts, if you make that history with the club, that gives you even a bigger push as well as an individual to go and collect the biggest honor. Like, there's so many good things that can come out of this within the next month alone that they shouldn't by any means slack at this opportunity. They've got a decent gap in the title race at the top of the table. They've got the second leg to play. It was a very, very dramatic game. I'm sure we'll talk about Champions League soon with Inter Milan. And you've just beat Real Madrid in the cup final. So no matter what Real Madrid say, you won the game. Simple as that. But yeah, I don't see how they don't go on to win the league from here. And I would hope for their sake that they can use as motivation to do well in the second leg of the Champions League. But yeah, man, I think it's heading that way. Your prediction at the beginning of the season might be spot on.
Yeah, I said Barcelona he would win the league, didn't I? Yeah. Now it's tricky. I would have preferred it to be Atleti because I know so many. I know so many Barca guys. I'll never hear the end of it, and one of them for definite because he is my co-host on the D&D Football Factory. already on my neck in the group in one of the other football groups when the goals were going in running joke because I thought once Tchouaméni had given Real the lead, I thought that they were gonna steal the Copa del Rey, but it's lived up to it because as you said, there was a couple of seasons. There was a one or two like 0-0s. There was some bad El Clásicos. I remember there was one Bale played in a couple of seasons back, but like they've been firing last couple of seasons. Like before, like one or two this season, especially last season, whatnot. We've had some good games. It's back to being the fixture that we all anticipate. But yeah, I think though Lewandowski's injured, Barca is showing that whether it be Rafinha, whether it be Yamal, etc., that they've got different people that can chip in and get the goals. And like obviously Pedri scored in the final here. If he was to start Fermi, Lopez, there's other people that will come in and get the goals. And maybe that's what Madrid, obviously Tchouaméni scored in the final, but maybe that's slightly what Madrid are suffering from about getting some others to pop up and score the goals. Let's obviously look at the case where at the back, they've got injuries as well. I mean, we have to mention the fact Mendy didn't even last 10 minutes on his return back to the side as we Militao out, Carvajal out. So like it's been a problem defensively for them. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, I think Barca if I was to pick someone, I think it probably will be Barca, even with Lewandowski injured. But we'll see how it goes. But we'll be keeping tabs on that as we do every week anyway. In regards to that, so other things I wanted to ask you in regards to it as well, right? You answered my question before about the mental battle. Lamine Yamal, though it was celebrated in the Champions League game, as we'll come to shortly. 17 years old.
Mm-hmm.
He's 100th game already.
Mm-hmm.
Should they be looking to rest this guy more? We don't mean like if he's managed properly, we can see. There was a game on one of the audios we discussed earlier in the season when they lost. Was it to Osasuna? I think it was when they rested him, and like there was a bit of backlash. But boy's a teenager. We don't want him to get burned out. We want to see the expression. There's been a lack of expression on the football pitch that we've blatantly seen, right?
Yeah.
Across world football, but especially the Premier League, that the main thing that we're keeping tabs on each week. This guy plays with freedom. We saw it in the Euros at 16 years old, obviously now 17. Is there a big danger of burnout? 100 games already is outrageous, and the levels haven't dropped yet. But we just hope that, like, we just want them to be protected, so we can just know we're going to put Barca on, and we can enjoy the football and see a freedom that we're not seeing in a lot of the games that we're watching elsewhere.
Yeah, so that stat concerned me immediately because 17 years of age, 100 appearances, like that's to me it's criminal, man. I'll be very honest. To me, it's criminal. I'm not gonna lie. I understand we come from an era. That's not an era. Football's always been like this. If you're young, if you're good enough,
you're old enough, isn't it?
You're old enough,
You're old enough, yeah.
You know, you go back to the days of Pele. How old was Pele when he was in the World Cup doing his business? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, he didn't start at 25. He started as a young boy, 17 years old, killing it. You know what I mean? And we've had so many young talents come through in the past. You talk about Ronaldo, Michael Owen when he came through at Liverpool.
Yep.
Rooney at Everton.
Yep.
You know, and then he went on to United, and he didn't stop playing either.
Yep.
You know, the only one I can think of that had a lot of rest or had a good rest here and there was Cristiano Ronaldo at Man United. He was the only one that had moments when he was benched because Sasha doesn't want to wear him out, and that's the only one I can think of. Genuinely, I'm sure people can give me more, but you know, I do worry for him because the one person that comes to mind at Barcelona who looked like maybe not on the same scale, but still looks like a great talent who's going to go and do amazing things was Ansu Fati.
Fatty, yeah.
Ansu Fati looked like he's going to do incredible things. And then first injury came, and then there was the next one, there was the next one, there was the next one. And now we're talking about a player who is obviously so talented, but just struggles to have a good level of fitness because he's been worn out so early. Yeah. So if Yamal is that lucky that he goes through his career and hardly suffers an injury, we'll all be lucky as well because we get to watch a talent like that. But I would hope that Barcelona would. His talent is ridiculous, so you're not going to go to the market and buy someone of the same level immediately. Yeah. At least someone that you can rotate him with. So the days where you want him to rest, you can sit out a little bit. So someone can do an adequate job. But yeah, the reality is because he is so good, he's not going to get rest. That 100 appearances only counts for Barcelona. We haven't spoken about Spanish appearances.
This is what I'm saying.
Like, we haven't added to it, so it's an insane number of games for a 17-year-old to play at a professional level. We're not talking about youth level. We're not talking about from when he was young. Obviously, naturally, he would have played over 100 games coming from when he was a kid.
Yeah.
But at a professional level, where it's so much more intense, where you're traveling around Spain, around Europe, you know, for your nation, around the world, playing different teams and so on, it's a lot. It's a lot, man. So, boy, if he was over here, he would have been at uni yet, bro. He's still doing A-levels. You know so to me, it's crazy. It's crazy. But I just me on a selfish level, I just want to be able to enjoy his talent for the next 15 years, not for the next 5. You know what I mean? I want to look at this player as one of the greatest ever in the future. And say I was there from watching him from when he started at 16 in the first team onwards. So that's my only hope for him. But might as well enjoy it while he is right now because this kid he's out of this world, man. What you said earlier about freedom. How many players can you say, genuine question, that, you know, like back in the day we had so many players that we just sit down and watch because they are that good, whether it's live or whether it's on TV. you will say, I want to go and watch this person. You don't have to even support either team. I just want to go and see this player. For me, he's that guy. Apart from him, I can't think of anybody that gives me that itch that, I can't wait to sit down and watch this guy play.
Yeah,
like,
watch you play.
Do you have anybody like that?
We had not really, Maybe like he's inconsistent, but maybe Cherky at Lyon, who's another man that burst on the scene at 16. And when you look at the figures of Yamal, when you look at the decision making and whatnot, there's not too many players that I like watching, but it's not like I really want to watch them. I really want to watch this person play. You know what I'm saying? It's players I like watching, but like he is just good. Well, Rafinha at the moment, but he's much more older. He's like 10 years older than Yamal. You get what I'm saying? Baller. Like I've enjoyed watching Rafinha from Leeds first bought him. People were showing me Ren, but I didn't really see him too tough there when he was in France. But as soon as he come, you're seeing nutmegs and the ability to take a man on and shoot. But the things with Yamal as well, right? It's the decision making, bro. It's the decision making. He'll cut in, and it's not always shoot. He'll play a ball in, or he'll shift the angle, like the body movement and the feints and whatnot. It's just like he already knows what he's gonna do before he gets on the ball, and he's just playing the game at a different pace to others, to change the pace and whatnot as well. Does he at 17, or are we doing too much when we say it? Does he have a genuine case to being called the best player in the world at the moment?
He actually does,
That's crazy at 17,
Hear me out, bro. Hear me out. When was the last time? Actually, not even my last time. Doesn't matter what age they are. Think about his trajectory. 2024 Euros with Spain. And he wasn't a player that just played a part here and there. He was
a main player.
Yes. You know what I mean? Then this season in the league, dropping top performances week in and week out. You mentioned Osasuna, he gets dropped, Barcelona drop points. He's a key player in that team already. And we're talking about accolades, because accolades mean a lot. When you are a key player of that team, it adds to your push to have that tag of best player in the world. Because it's not like being, I don't know, it's not like Wes Brown for 2 years at United. Like this is someone who, and he won Premier League and Champions League, but he wasn't Ronaldo, or he wasn't or when Liverpool won stuff, he's not Trent, for example, for Liverpool. If they win the league and add the Champions League on top of it, even if they get to the final, he doesn't have to even win it from me at this point. Get into the final, the performance he drops, I don't know how you argue against it. He's minimum top three. He's minimum top three. I don't know how you argue against it. I've been trying to figure about it myself. It's like, he's 17. Am I going to call him the best player in the world? But
it's not normal. It's just not normal, bruv.
It's not normal. But I'm thinking about other players in this position. Yeah, obviously, I think as a right winger, you would probably say Salah still number one in the world as a right winger. Saka, you probably put ahead of him just for now. But as good as they have been and as good as they are, if he adds, and Salah's obviously won the league this year.
And Elise doing his thing, obviously buying clothes.
There you go.
Thingies and whatnot. But yeah, this.
Yeah, what he's done in the last year and a half is insane. It's genuinely insane for a 17-year-old. He's top three. And those two names I've mentioned are next to him. And that's it. And he can stake number one if he wants to. Because if he wins the league this year as a key player and wins the Champions League or gets to the final, I can't argue against it. I can't.
That's what I'm saying, bro.
I'm struggling.
It could be on the podium at 17. It's absolutely bananas. Insane. So we have another El Clasico on May the 11th to wrap things up. The funny thing is, I think Madrid are going to win that, though, which would then mean that I'd maybe favour them for the. I don't know. I'm conflicted, but yeah, it's gonna be. Yeah,
I'll honestly be surprised if they win it, man.
They're checking on. There's something missing from it. Though Mbappe has scored a lot of goals and started off the season, and a little wonder you didn't, but I had little concerns about it. And he's got like 30 odd in all competitions or something like that now, at least late 20s. Mbappe. Yeah, it's one of those ones where there's just something missing. That je ne sais quoi is just not there in previous seasons. That even when you knew they were being territorially outplayed, that
Yeah.
you still thought they would come with something. I watched that Arsenal thing, the game, and I was just so underwhelmed. And like they weren't even getting the shots in on target. They weren't even spamming shots that made you even think that they had a chance. It was just like Declan Rice was superb, especially he was actually better in the second leg than he was in the first, but he's getting gassed to the high heavens because of the free kicks that he scored. But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. But yeah, I'll probably just have to go to Buzz. What is the? I didn't even double check on the points, broski.
Between the two of them, it's 4 points the gap.
Is it's 4 now? Yeah, I
It's
was
4
thinking.
points. I was gonna say where Barca are lucky
Yeah,
is that
is it?
they're,
Oh, and look at the goal difference as well. Yeah, nice. It's
it's
done. It's
poor.
done.
It's up. So I was going to say, obviously, where Barca are lucky is they're playing bottom of the table via the lead this weekend.
Yeah, and
And
Madrid at
Real Madrid
home.
have
Is it Celta
they're home
Vigo?
to Celta Vigo, but Celta
Yeah,
Vigo have a 2-point gap between them and I think Osasuna.
Yeah,
Between 7 and 8, so it's Europa League and Conference League. Obviously,
Yeah.
you want to get into Europa League, don't you? So
Yeah.
they got something to play for. Valladolid are as good as dead in La Liga. That's done. So Barca have that luxury. Real Madrid have a bit of a challenge on their hands because they've got a team that's fighting for something. Real Madrid have to beat Celta Vigo because if you go and you drop points against Celta Vigo, you can win the Clásico, but the gap is still. They need to lose another game, and if you can't beat Celta Vigo, then I can't trust you. Even if you beat Barcelona to go and win the other games, I can't trust you.
I was thinking it was 3 points for it. For some reason, Jesus Christ, that's Napoli and Inter. That is 3 points.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's go. Let's go to Serie A. Let's switch gears and go to Serie A then. Damn, we've spoken all season about Bundesliga and about when one shot points, the others not capitalised. This wasn't the case here. Inter lose at home to Roma. Inter just been off the ball recently. They lost to Bologna last week. Just overall, they're conceding more than they have in previous seasons under Simone Inzaghi. The marking was just poor, and I know you being a coach, you would have had your thoughts of your own. But Sule had the shot, the ball come back, and then he's able to squeeze it in. Not the easiest angle, but he took it with aplomb. And I don't know, like Inter, is it a case where Inter are tired, coach, because of all the exploits this season? Obviously, Champions League, the long Champions League group stage and whatnot, and just a case because Napoli was so bad last season that they've been able to capitalize on that, because Inter obviously lost to Roma later on. Napoli beat Torino 2-0 with a brace from your best mate, Scotto, yeah, man, like Scott McTominay. I think that's 11 league goals for the season now. He's just loving life. Lukaku's going wide and he's happy to draw defenders out to allow McTominay to make those late bursts into the box like he's Frank Lampard under Jose Mourinho or something. Is it just a case where Inter is fatigued and now Napoli have got a 3-point lead, they can get over the line? Because I think Napoli's hardest game they've got left, I think they've got, is it Parma and someone? And then Inter have still got to play Torino, and I think they've got to play Como as well. So you would, looking at it, you'd think with them 3 points, right, Inter have got the harder games in. Is it just a case of the fact that Napoli are fresher that this is going to carry them through to the Scudetto?
It could be fatigue, but they've lost. Well, minus the draw of Barcelona, they've lost 3 games in a row.
Yeah.
One of them was a thumping, and AC Milan have not been pulling up trees for you to be smacked 3-0 by them. This is cool.
Did we have to talk about the Italian Cup? Yeah.
So, yeah, no, look, I think it's full advantage Napoli, because if you're talking about fatigue, this Barcelona game is going to wipe it out them, being Inter Milan. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know where they go from here, to be fair. It's a very intriguing one. Look, what I'll say is this. You got Hellas Verona, as you said. So Hellas Verona are near the relegation spots, but I think they'll be safe this year. Just about, I think they'll be fine. But yeah, no, they need to figure it out and fast. They just need to figure it out and fast because they've still got a lot of football to come. You know what I mean? If they're tired now, between May and June, you get a short break before you're doing FIFA Club World Cup. So yeah, they need to figure it out. But I think I would say Napoli are going to run away with it now, because there's something. Every club has these things where they have a player or a moment where the players just keep doing something out of the ordinary
Mm.
to get them results. And the last 3 games have shown me that Barcelona, Inter Milan don't have that, whereas
Yeah.
Napoli do. And someone like Scott McTominay, like no one foresaw the impact he was going to have. Now it's got United fans on social media moving stupid like, oh, we should never have sold him. I told you, but like
The same ones that wanted him out, right?
exactly.
Like, he
Like
has no footballing brain.
facts. I said Fred McTominay out of here. Out of here. The only claim to fame I have is that I said Fred should go before Scott McTominay.
You know
And that's
about
the only claim.
McFred. You're not ready for the McFred burger, bro. Now McTominay's got pizzas named after him and Billy Gilmore in Italy, bro. Man's
There you
loving
go.
life, bro.
The Scottish connection over there, man. But I'll be happy for him, and I think they deserve it this year. I think they deserve it, and I think someone like I'll say even Conte. I think Conte deserves it as well. And the reason I say that is because people focus too much on his supposed rants. He doesn't rant because he doesn't get his own way. He rants because he wants and expects better from his comrades, from his players. He wants them to push, and then within that, he also wants the club to push. And he's not saying go and spend 500 million. He's saying go and let's really start a force here. Let's start momentum and keep it going. I've not said it to you. I said it to a local friend that I know. And I said, my issue as a neutral, because obviously rivalry aside, as a neutral, my issue with Liverpool is when you win a trophy or you win another, because you had a period of time where you won a trophy 1 year, then a trophy next year, trophy next year, trophy next year, and it's a good run of form, right? But sometimes I look at it and I feel like your board does not want or have the drive to create what I believe to be a legacy. You know what I mean? Like, let's go and win the next title the next season. Let's go and push on for that because, it's not me saying go and spend 100 million and, by force do this and the other. But what is the intention? What's the goal? Napoli and Conte, that's what Conte is about. Conte, when he had his run at Spurs, wasn't saying, oh, I'm ranting because these guys are letting me down. He's saying because this is the club's history. They get so close and then they let it down. Yeah. And you're letting players who have actually been here majority of the time for these runs get away with the fact that they keep dropping form and not performing when you really need them to. And you're letting the board get away with it. You can complain and say we don't Levy out and want this guy out and Enoch out and all that. But what are you really doing to try and get these guys to do the best by your club? Yeah. Nothing's happening. And that's why the standard remains the same. So I'm happy for him because this is the kind of environment that he's been looking for. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So if he wins the title now, which I think is going to happen, he's going to say to Napoli, we've won the first one, let's try and win the second one. But what are you going to do to help the club go and win that second one? And I think that's a fair point. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I think that's what all clubs should strive to do. So yeah, I'm happy for him, and I think he deserves it. I think McTominay deserves it. I think Lukaku deserves it. It's been one hell of a comeback for him, in my opinion, after so many moves since joining Chelsea. So yeah, man, I'm happy for those guys, and I think they deserve it. So I think they'll push on. I think Inter Milan need to really try and win that second leg or their season start.
Unfortunately, because you know that Atalanta's been one I've adopted recently, but Inter through and through from the 90s. That's my Serie A team. But yes, it's bro, it's looking peak. But why did we doubt Conte in the first place? Like, people were like, oh, he's got Anguissa, he was okay at Fulham, but he wasn't that great. Oh, McTominay's wash and all this. He's done it before. Remember when he won the league at Inter, he had the Ericssons, the Darmians and whatnot. He brought Ashley Young in. You get what I'm saying, bruv? They've spoken a lot, whether it be James Horncastle, etc., or anyone else that will talk about the Italian league. We've obviously Lima Taverni, Carlo Garganese. They've spoken about this thing here, right? You've got the Serie A have spoken a lot about how much they've liked in terms of the conditioning in the Premier League, and you bring that, the work rate, etc. Even they spoke about this back when Beckham went Milan for a bit back about how he doesn't stop running. You get what I'm saying? It's like usually tactical taking the work rate. So if they're gonna, you've seen how good their defense is. That's why it needs to have scored far more goals and have the better goal difference. But we've seen how Napoli think about. They're happy to win a 1-0 or get their 2-0 or whatever. We shouldn't have doubted his. Well, I didn't, but other people shouldn't be doubting his methods. He's won the league doing that before. You get what I'm saying? We've seen what he does, and we've seen he can adapt. Even back in Prem, we saw Arsenal slapped thing about. Arsenal slapped Chelsea about, and then after that they went on that long unbeaten streak, and then Tottenham ended it. They went on and won the league. He's willing to make the changes. Look and see that he's wrong, but what he wants is that full backing from the board. Some people say it's throwing his toys out the pram or whatever, but as you said, as long as things are in place and he feels that he's calm in his working conditions, he'll get it done.
He'll get it done every time.
He'll get it done. They're not going to woo you necessarily with all the football that they play, but it's a results business.
But what you're talking about, the reason why it happens like that, because in this nation, especially in this nation, they can't understand. Like, it's always been a thing about back in the days of the 2000s where someone like Veron could come here and he doesn't tear it up like he does in Italy. And like, oh, see, this is why the Premier League's different and all that rubbish. And now football's a lot more structured. You know, there's a lot more, you know, you must play a certain style, a certain way. What they struggle to understand is that some players just don't adapt in a certain club or a certain country, and that's okay. It's okay, because you would think that if you listen to the English press only, you think that Diego Forlan was a very average striker. We know how good that man really was. You think Veron was a very average midfielder. You know how good that man really was. Some people just need to be in an environment where they understand where they are, and feel comfortable in terms of, you know, where they live, the weather, the players they're playing with, the coaching staff around them. Like, everything has to click for the player to click. That's just what it is. And that's why some clubs are so good at buying players, because they really go through each detail and find the player and say, he's going to work here. And it works. And some clubs are not so good because they think this player, by talent, he's great, but you don't think about the other aspects that also contribute to consistent form. And it doesn't work out. Whereas in Italy, it seems like when they sign a player, some players don't work out naturally. They've got some players that don't work out. But players like McTominay have come in, and even McTominay himself said, you know, he wasn't sure how would he adapt in Italy because it's new to him. He's a Scottish boy. He only knows up north, Scotland and Manchester. He's not an Italian guy by any chance. He's not a Spanish by any chance. But he's gone there. They've looked after him, made sure the environment is for him, and he's thriving. So, you know, you just have to give people the chance. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't make them bad. It just means they're not ready. Alphonso Alves was fantastic in Holland. Came to England and he struggled his ass off. Didn't mean he was terrible, just means he couldn't work in England. That's okay. That's all right. So it is what it is, man.
It's a mad thing, and tactically he's just outdoing teams, coach, man. Like, you'll see Spinazzola, we know him like wing back or whatever, but you see him a bit further forward, like as though he's playing like an inside forward. So when you bring those defensive capabilities into it, you're doubling up. You're going to stop teams on that side, make it much easier and whatnot. You're getting it done, and people will still say what they have to say about him, but the guy is a very good manager, because they'll link it to, oh, he didn't do whatever at Tottenham, but Mourinho never did whatever at Tottenham either. So Ange might win. Ange has an opportunity to win the Europa League. You get what I'm saying? That doesn't make him a better manager than them, because
when a club, if they want to go off if they want to use that as evidence of whether a guy's a bad manager for a club who has a serial winner, take them to a final 3 days before the final, sack him. Sorry, Ryan Mason. You always get catch strays in this.
Leave Ryan Mason alone.
It's not your fault, bro. I can't lie. But sacking Mourinho to put Ryan Mason in charge of a final against Pep Guardiola, I'll listen to the English press on that one, wouldn't I? Fucking idiots, man.
Because, for instance, you look at, I remember watching, I was doing the hate watching it, but I remember watching AFTV one time. Well, it might have even been on DR Sports, actually. Which obviously you've been on, and Robbie was trying to say that Arteta was a better manager than Emery because Emery failed at Arsenal. Emery, who on a shoestring budget used to get Valencia into the Champions League. When Emery that won how many Europa Leagues with Sevilla, won the league with Paris Saint-Germain, won the Europa League with Villarreal. Didn't he knock Arsenal out?
Yeah, exactly.
And look what you've done with Villa, who were on the cusp of the relegation places when they let go of Stevie G, come in following seasons, take them to the Champions League. But Mikel Arteta's better than him, apparently.
Look, and we were talking about environments. It's a very simple thing. I'm not going to thrive in an environment where I tell a club I want Wilfred Zaha, and they say, nope, you're getting Nicolas Pepe.
And they go and give him Pepe when he wanted Zaha. So he admired Zaha from when he was in Spain.
Yeah. Anyway, they know this as well, but agenda's got to run, my guy. So it is what it is, isn't it? They know it. They know it, but
Goodness
agenda's
me.
got to run.
There's no need to check in, coach, for us to check in with Bundesliga because there's 3 games to go and it's an 8-point lead now. That's done. The Harry Kane curse will be uplifted. This was a.
Yeah.
I'm not going to mention the team again because it's going to pick on them, but Liverpool have won the Premier League. As it stands, Man United or Tottenham are going to win the Europa League.
Hmm.
Obviously, this team in question could obviously still win the Champions League. We're going to come to that now. But if things don't go their way, this could be arguably the worst season of their existence, especially the youngers, if all their ops win a trophy and they don't. Because you'd be very surprised if Chelsea don't go through and win the Conference League. Bit mad.
Let me tell you why
Bit mad for Woolwich right about now.
let me tell you why I'm enjoying this. Yeah, let me tell you why I'm really enjoying this because agendas are sweet when it doesn't work in your favor, right? So now the complaint is, and it's not only them now. Now Newcastle are well. I say Newcastle. I don't know if D-Man is, but D-Man doesn't like anything United, so I'm sure you'll pop up soon enough. How can United or Spurs be in the Champions League with the season they had? They're going to finish on the 13th, 14th, 17th, 15th, 16th, whatever number you want to bring up, right? But we should scrap it now. After all this time, we should scrap it now, shouldn't we? Because Man United and Spurs, despite their bad seasons, and should have get in the Champions League, despite the fact that they've absolutely deserved to get to where they are in the Europa League because they've earned it.
Yeah.
And the reward for winning that trophy is getting into the elite competition because you've earned it. But no, this time, let's scrap it now. Shout out Goliath. I love Goliath. Man's talking about let's go back to the days when only the top 2 go into the Champions League. What are we doing here? What are we doing here, brothers? What are we doing here? We don't have to do this. Listen, drop the agendas. But Arsenal fans in particular, that's why I mentioned Goliath. We ain't got to do this, fellas. We ain't got to do this, okay? It's all right. Listen, just digest it. Take it all in. One of the English clubs is going to win. Hopefully, it's my club, so I can laugh a little bit. I don't want to be on the agenda side where me and Arsenal are crying because we won. I don't want to be part of that group. You know what I mean? I actually want to celebrate. But hell, even if it is Spurs, God forbid, if it's Spurs that win it, I'm still going to laugh at Arsenal. You know why? Because despite all your cussing now and saying we're this, that, and the other,
your neighbours.
They're your neighbours and they've collected the European trophy and you're just sitting there, knocked out by PSG. The same PSG, by the way, that you beat earlier this season. You said, we've knocked out Real Madrid, we can beat these guys. You got cocky. Love Turkish. Shout out Turkish. The first time he's positive about an Arsenal result, they lost. Listen.
What you said 4-1. Turkey said 4-1.
4-1. The first time he's positive, he said, hey, man, we're going to win this one because we've beaten them before. They're not the same team.
These are the ones I look at as the knowledgeable Woolwich fans because obviously Turkish talks a lot of sense about football. Troops talks a lot of sense apart from his recent comments. I wasn't feeling about how if Saka was fit, they would have won the league, even though when Saka was fit, they were 9 points behind us and that, right?
Yeah.
Dan Potts is a very good talks a lot of sense, 12th man. He talks a lot of sense about Arsenal and whatnot. But when they do say anything negative about the club, they're looked at as being toxic, etc. But their manager, some of the fans, can you blame them? Did you hear Arteta's interview with that girl? Is her name Anita for CBS? CBS. He was basically saying, "Yeah, this is the team basically that like beat Real Madrid, blah blah blah. Like anything can be done." I'm thinking that like, how could you blame some of the fans for their hyperbole when the manager is still referring to that result? That's something. If you get to the final, you can go back to and talk about we can win it because we've knocked out Real Madrid and PSG, but you weren't ever behind in that tie. So this is different. Like, we might as well talk about the game now because, as you said, it looks like a formality. Though anything can happen with Tottenham. Bodo Glimt played good football, especially that first leg against Lazio. The goals that they scored and the way they were moving the ball was really good. So that looks a formality. So to wrap up, we can only need to talk about Europa League too tough. But in terms of Champions League, that first leg, I didn't get to watch it till after, with it being on Amazon. I had the radio on, I had Troops' watch along, etc. Yeah. But I think Arsenal had 2 good chances. Martinelli should have scored and Trossard should have scored. 2 good saves by Courtois. But I hope PSG do not come back to rue. Well, I shouldn't say hope because on the podcast will be neutral. So I think I should say away from the podcast. But so let me put it like this: I think PSG will come to rue the Bradley Barcola miss. Man, like Fuad, the Bradley Barcola miss and the Ramos hitting the bar as well. And I think they should have had a penalty in the first half as well. You know, the
Oh
more you
yeah,
see
that was penalty.
replays of that Kavitska, the pull by Timber, defensively, that is the hardest challenge that Timber's had since he's been at Arsenal. You know, Kavitska was just onto him every time, cutting in off that left hand side, and they were sometimes switching the sides with the player as well. I think
Yeah,
that was a pen. The more you see it, usually like that, if you make an attempt to play the ball and then you have a little pull on the man, the rest will allow it. But he's done that. I listened to that woman, she's got the American accent, hasn't she? Or whatever it is, that was talking during the Euros about the refereeing decisions. She
yes,
came on CBS and she was basically saying that they were maybe looking for a little more contact, but though in most realms it's a pen, they decided to stick with the on-field decision. She explained it better than how I've paraphrased it just there. But I was thinking, if there's any doubt, surely you gotta, because you usually they're more strict that the European refs and that they would have given it. But
yeah.
though I think the second leg will be much like the first in terms of how PSG can control the tempo. Um, if Arsenal can get something from a set piece or something like that, they've still got a big chance. It's only 1-0. It's only
It's only
1-0.
1-0. Yeah, it's only 1-0. So it's all right. But my thing for them is just my final thing on this is just don't be cocky. Because look, you did beat PSG earlier this year, but you can see already that they're a much better team than what you faced earlier this season. You lost to Inter Milan. And there's a game people forget about. Inter Milan beat them in the Champions League this year. People
Yeah,
forget
1-0.
about it.
They just let them have the ball. Arsenal had about 13, 14 corners and couldn't do anything with them.
Didn't
They
do
sat back
anything,
and
yeah.
said, unlock us, and they couldn't unlock them.
There you go. And Barcelona are doing what they're doing right now. I mean, they're playing with highlights. It's very tricky, very risky, but they make it work, and they've got ridiculous talents. So, you know, and they would want to repeat history. What, been 19 years later from the final that you had with them, where was it Belletti that put you to the sword with the winner?
Yep.
So look, enjoy the run, because I feel like Arsenal fans get a bit too caught up in too much emotion. I understand it's an emotional journey. You want to win the Champions League when you get so close, and if you don't get there, it hurts. We've all been there. We've all been there.
Yeah.
But enjoy it for what it is right now. And then if you don't win it, then you assess why it went wrong. But until then, stop getting so caught up in the emotion and just try to enjoy the fact that you're there and support your team and you see what they can do. So yeah, man, Wednesday's gonna be a big day for them, boy. Big day.
So right. So pick one team. Pick who's going to be in the final to wrap things up.
I'm going PSG Barca.
I'm going to concur reluctantly because obviously I want Inter to go through. But if Arsenal are going to do it, they have to get the first goal in the second leg.
Facts. By the way, I'm just going to say this, and I don't want to do this to him, but I have to do this. If PSG win this competition, all eyes are going to be looking at the guy that wears number 9 at Real Madrid. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Bro, you can see how good this team are coached under Enrique. It's only probably Roma that you can actually sit there with chest and say that he didn't do well. Yeah? We know how good this guy can coach teams. They just look like from front to back. You've got Neves in there, Vitinha. We've been talking about Fabio Ruiz with the way we cover La Liga back from he was at Betis. You get what I'm saying, bruv? It's just the way that they move the ball and whatnot. Donnarumma's been questionable at times. Marquinhos, I like, but sometimes can do. What do they say? Bozo Gene or whatever. If everyone on point, just the way that they're coached, bro. The way they're moving the ball. The problem is that Dembele injured. It looks like. I doubt if they're saying this. I don't know the extent. If they're saying this is hammy, there's no way that he can be used on Wednesday. So you'd think that Ramos would be the one who starts, unless they decide to bust a Bacola or whatever. That could be huge because Dembele is just unpredictable. Can go left foot, right foot, do what he's doing. But at least this one's on TNT, so I have no issue with having to get a stream on this one. You get me? So yeah, man. So yeah, we'll wrap it there then. Culture. Do you have anything you want to plug to wrap things up?
So I mean, it won't be now because I'm starting a new job soon, so I'll be able to start hopefully soon on this. But I'm going to be doing my own content. It's not going to be football now. My passions are football, food, wrestling, shows. So it's going to be a new channel. So when I get that set up, I'll plug that. But other than that, style of play as always, and still for the free midfield. I'll be back on that as well, don't worry.
Come
And
on. Mhm.
and actually one called Always Stay Tuned. It's a YouTube channel that also where I do well. Theo does it with his boy. Today I was on it, and I think he wants me to be doing it. That's a lot more topic based. That's not just solely football. Today we spoke about the boxing. We spoke about Ennio Luco.
Mhm.
We spoke about the fact that children are probably they're spoiled a lot these days. Too many options. The ruling on transgenders as a whole by the Supreme Court and by the FAs and so on and so forth. So yeah, a lot of topics to talk about. But yeah, man, subscribe to that as well. So that's awesome, man.
Okay, interesting. Right, yeah, I'm part of the D&D Football Factory. Anyone who's watching this on actually, this is only on Visual Minute. I've got it in the mind state of the old audio one. Double D on all platforms. That's DUBULDEE, and I'm part of the D&D Football Factory. We are at DD Footy Factory _ on the social. So we go live on Top FM on a Saturday morning at 10 a.m. That's 95.5 FM if you're in London. But if you are not, best to use one of the digital radio apps, whether that be Simple Radio, TuneIn, or actually there is actually an On Top FM app, which is probably the best thing for you to get us on. So that's Saturday 10 a.m. we go live with the Footy on Top show. So yeah, but for now, with the No Troughs, this is European podcast from me and Coach. We are out. Thank you very much for listening to episode 14.